for the medium, and then you've only got Nakagami, Aleix Espargaro, Alex Rins, Rossi, Pirro and Martin that haven't at the moment got the hard front tyre. You can see there on the graphic the tyre choices that they've come to the grid. Pole for Pecco Bagnaia, then another Ducati 1-2 for the factory team on row 1 with Fabio Quartararo. 13 front rows in 14 for Fabio Quartararo. Martin, Zarco and Pol Espargaro go from the second row. Then it's Marc Marquez, Aleix Espargaro and Alex Rins, Vinales, Mir and Bastianini. They go from the fourth row. You can see the split there in terms of rear tyre choice. 3 riders on that graphic on the medium rear, 3 on the soft. Nakagami, Pirro and Luca Marini. They're on the 5th row, ahead of the returning Frankie Morbidelli, who heads row 5 with Binder and Stefan Bradl, the HRC wildcard. Alex Marquez, Iker Lecuona and Miguel Oliveira on row 7. Petrucci, Rossi and Dovizioso on row 8. Has there ever been a more experienced and illustrious and successful back row of a MotoGP race than that one? Petrucci, Rossi and Dovizioso. They must have nearly 1,000 Grand Prix appearances between them.
Well, we're ready for the Grand Prix of San Marino. A huge, huge day for Yamaha as the best GP of 2020 of Emilia-Romagna is awarded on the grid. Let's go down onto the grid because Simon's with Lynn Jarvis. Down to you, Simon.
I am. Lynn, can you please give us your thoughts on Yamaha riders going into this race?
Well, the first thing I have to focus on is the weather, so I hope it stays dry because truly we really need that to have a dry race today. But it's a curious situation, you know. Obviously we have Fabio right at the front, and I think he can do a great race. In my opinion, he can definitely be there for the podium. Whether he can beat the Ducatis and Suzukis, nobody knows, but we'll be there fighting at the front. And then obviously we have some of our other riders in the back end of the grid, but it's important for especially the 2 new guys to really just take this opportunity to get to know the bike again, get back into their rhythm. So we have no great expectations for these guys. But at the front we have a lot of hope, so I think it's going to be a fabulous race.
Thank you, Lynn.
Thank you very much.
Well, we hope so. Thank you very much, Lynn Jarvis. You just see there down on the grid Paolo Campanotti just going over to Jack Miller, of course, former boss of his Miller. Would not mind a sprinkling or 2 of rain at this particular moment.
Jack getting his money's worth out of the energy gel there as well, wasn't he?
We have Tsunoda here from Formula 1 on the grid, going over to say hey to Pol Espargaro. A nice opportunity for them in one of their rare breaks that they have in the Formula 1 calendar these days.
Yeah, super fast on 4 wheels, coming to see the best men on 2 wheels in action here in Misano. Pol Espargaro, pretty impressive qualifying performance by the Spaniard in 6th place, surrounded by a swarm of Ducati GP21s. The 4 Ducati GP21s actually inside the top 4 places on the grid. Let's pop back down onto the grid and hear about the prospects of Taka Nakagami and Alex Marquez ahead of Lucio Cecchinello's LCR Honda team's home Grand Prix. Simon, down to you.
Yes, Lucio, can you give us the information from your 2 riders going into this race? I see a lot of discussions going on. Is it still tyre choice going on at the moment?
Yeah, absolutely, tyre choice, and of course we needed to immediately prepare the second bike with the rain setup. So there was an hesitation on the rear tire, slick tire, but we definitely pick up the soft compound.
Lucio, how do you feel? Like Taka's looking pretty good here this weekend. How do you feel about him going into the race, and also Alex?
Well, we've been a little bit penalized in the qualifying because unfortunately they were doing a very fast lap, but they've been penalized by a couple of crashes. So as you know, with the yellow flag, the riders cannot continue to push. So we had the red helmets in Alex and Taka on their fast lap, but unfortunately they couldn't finish. So we start quite behind, and will be crucial the start of the race and the first laps, but we have to be realistic. It's not going to be, you know, something like we are going to fight for the podium. I will be very delighted if one of the riders can make up to the first 7-8, and the second one, the top 10, definitely. So this is our target.
Thank you, Lucio. Best of luck.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Simon. Thanks to Lucio Cecchinello. And that really just sums up where Honda are at the moment. Lucio Cecchinello bigging up an 8th place finish and saying he'd be delighted with it.
Yeah, that will not be an easy task as well. Nakagami way down in 13th. Alex Marquez. Yellow flags late on in Q1 cost him the chance to get into Q2. A lot of work to do for the former Moto2 world champion from down in 19th place. Not the easiest weekend so far for KTM, but race day always can throw up some surprises. And what about the potential of a flag to flag and a repeat of Brad Binder's Austria heroics? Well, let's see what KTM Motorsport manager Pit Barra thinks of his boys' prospects. He's with Simon on the grid.
Yes, Pitt would really like to hear a few people wishing him luck. Pitt would like to hear what you think going into this race. I saw Brad testing the original chassis again on in the morning warm-up, and he looked like he was really strong, like race pace. Also, with this weather hanging around, that most people are hoping it stays away. I'm wondering what you're thinking.
Looks like it stays dry. Since we found a little better setup this morning, I'm confident we can make another Brad attack race, and I would prefer now dry. I mean, if you're really have a bad weekend like we had, you would wish maybe for rain to have something just different, but I don't want to base it on a chaotic race. So I think we found some directions this morning, and I'm sure Brad can do a good race, and the other guys here behind us, I hope in the slipstream the same. And yeah, we need to keep it positive and say it was always my target to be in the grid in front of Dovi and Valentino, so it happens today.
Okay, thank you, Pitt.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks to Pit Barra. Yeah, the change over to the old chassis for Brad Binder worked out quite well this morning in warm-up. He looked a lot sharper than he had done at any other point in the weekend, but he is going to need one of his hard charging days. He's way back on the grid. He's going to need a rocket start. 6th row, 17th for Binder.
Keep an eye on this young man, Enea Bastianini, born within a stone's throw of this famous Misano circuit just down the road in nearby Rimini. He's got great race pace, looked really strong in FP4 yesterday, top 6. He's got work to do though from the back of the 4th row, 12th place.
Here's Luca Marini. Marini will be heading out from 15th on the grid. Michele Pirot also back, of course, one of the 2 test riders in action here today ahead of a big test coming up next week. Bradl also present on the grid here, 24 riders. Let's hear about the hopes for Suzuki then. Another team who have got a lot of work to do when the lights go out. Mir starting from 11th. Rins just 1 row better off in 9th, but both of them with excellent dry pace. Shinichi Sahara's with Simon.
Yes, Shinichi-san, please tell us what you think about this race. Looking at race pace of both your riders, Alex Rins and Joan Mir, they look fantastic. Like, I think everybody's worried about them. But what do you think? And also, I can see a little bit of a last-minute decision on tyres. Can you tell us what's happening there?
Yes, as you can see on the lap time in the warm-up, pace of with the race tyre is very good. But as you say, also the choice of tyres a bit tricky for us. So it's not a gamble, but okay, we have the quite a big range for the selection of tire, so I have no big concern about that. Just making a good start as usual to fight in the top.
Shinichi-san, if it stays dry, I'm sure I'm going to see you in Parc Fermé. Best of luck today.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, thanks very much. Well, that's what they'll be hoping for anyway. Sector 1 can be a bit treacherous here in Misano. Turns 1, 2, 3, 4. So there is an opportunity there for the likes of Rins and Mir, but there's also a few gambles and risks that they have to take. They've got to get a good start.
The perfect vantage point for the run down to the first corner then from the VIP village. One of the hottest tickets in MotoGP right now. Luca Marini then, looking very resplendent, pretty in pink in the special Sky Wi-Fi livery for his home Grand Prix. Fair to say, it's been quite a tough debut on home soil here in Misano for Luca Marini in MotoGP. He's down in 15th place, salvaged something pretty respectively in Q1 yesterday, because previously he'd found it very, very difficult, struggling outside the top 20 in a couple of the earlier weekend sessions.
Race winner here in Misano last year, Maverick Vinales, of course, on the Yamaha from pole position. 10th place on the grid today. Definitely be hoping for a dry race. Will Top Gun a top 10 finish today would be more than satisfactory on just his second outing on the RSGP.
Yeah, fair play to Maverick Vinales. He was just 2/10 slower than his teammate Aleix Espargaro, who's been in red-hot form of late on the grid. 10th place, of course, he was on pole in both races here last year. And what is going to come for this man in the next 45, 50 minutes or so? The brave roll of the dice to stay out on those slick tyres when the rain fell heavily at the Red Bull Ring in Austria. And this man has got to be praying that the rain stays away and we get a full dry race, because as Lynn Jarvis said, Yamaha boss, he's got podium potential, and that'll be vital for his title aspirations. In the rain, it's a whole different scenario for the Frenchman.
Well, there we go, a rendition of the San Marino national anthem, followed by Fratelli d'Italia, the Italian national anthem as well. Will we be hearing that national anthem at the end of the 27-lap race?
Well, Italy had to wait until round 13 for their first victor of the 2021 season. It came in the hands of this young man, Pecco Bagnaia. Can he make it back-to-back wins? Only 6 Ducati rides have done that previously in the history of the MotoGP World Championship, trying desperately to join that exclusive club.
Well, that could be a bit of a problem. The flares are out in Ducati red on the exit of turn 16. The race will be getting underway in around about 7 minutes.
Yeah, the red flares then.
Well, the race won't be getting underway in 7 minutes if those flares are still going on.
Andrea Dovizioso then. Will those red flares be needed post-race as well to kick off some wild Bologna factory celebrations for Ducati? They'd love to win here in Misano to keep the gap coming down to this man, Fabio Quartararo, trying to look relaxed. He said this is his pre-race ritual. He doesn't like to go into a bubble. He likes to keep talking to his mechanics, keep talking to his friend Tom. That's the way that he feels that he can relax and prep himself the best for what's to come. 40 minutes or so of hot MotoGP action, 27 laps of this 4.2 kilometre Misano World Circuit. Marco Simoncelli.
Good opportunity for some photographers to get some shots of the riders with the red mist in the background.
Well, 7 days ago in Aragon, this man was untouchable. He resisted the unbelievable pressure from Marc Marquez. And speaking of the Repsol Honda man, he's coming from that third row of the grid. Let's talk to HRC team boss Alberto Puig about the prospects for Marc and Pol Espargaro. Simon.
Yes, Alberto, can you give us your thoughts about your riders for this race?
Well, not an easy race, but it will not be easy for no one. So, but in our case, it was not an easy weekend on the practice, so we expect to suffer a little bit. But anyway, you know, a race has to be done to then understand what were your real chances. So let's wait.
I felt Marc really has the pace if it started raining.
I don't think it's going to rain, but if it's a rain, you know, you never know.
Best of luck. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for that. It doesn't look like at this particular moment then we're going to get rain. One or two team bosses suggesting that we're going to have a dry race here, and certainly some of the dark clouds that were present at the start of this broadcast have just disappeared for now. So it looks like, for now anyway, it may stay dry.
And that means a very relieved World Championship leader Fabio Quartararo. 5 minutes then to the race start. Round 14. The championship chase hotting up between Quartararo, Bagnaia and Mir. The Rossi fans, you can hear them. Despite